Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Run. I'm Egberto is your host. Thank you so kind of being a part of the show. We're going to have a great show for you today. Just got back rushing in from KPFT and had to get me a little bit of peanut butter and cocoa. It was pretty good. How's my peeps doing? How are my peeps doing? Anyhow, folks, we're going to have a great show for you today. If you have not yet voted, I repeat, if you have not yet voted, please, people, please go out and vote. We cannot complain if we go out there and not vote. So again, I urge everybody. Everybody seems to be away today. They're going to come in. I think let me see if my thing went out yet. It hasn't. A lot of the stuff hasn't gone out yet, but people will show up. We'll start seeing people show up in a minute. Eric Hayes says voting is so easy and very efficient. Right. Remember what I tell you guys about looking through your own eyes and not through the eyes of others? So people come to Kingwood. We have a very nice setup. We have more machines than we know what to do with. The lines are generally not greater than 15 minutes, if that long. And we have a ton of machines. But you go on election day in certain areas, there won't be a lot of machines. And people that live in Kingwood, like Eric, would see the semblance of efficiency because his particular precinct, his particular area is filled with machines. Has that been afforded everywhere else? That's a question you should be asking, Eric. Empathy requires you not just looking at things how they are for you, but how it is for others as well. That is the mark of a true spiritualist, of a real humanist. Unfortunately, it has been lacking in the evangelical domain. All right, because it seems that domain recently has been preaching more hate than anything else. All right, let's continue. Let's see. Michael Rodnin says, Euronews. New study shows 1/3 of glaciers in the World Heritage Sites will disappear by 2050. It's hard to comprehend quite how catastrophic the disappearance of the world's glaciers will be. 50% of humanity depends directly and indirectly on these ice giants as their water source for domestic use, agriculture, and hydropower. Yep, you look in the Alps and all these areas where they have all those pristine lakes that they've dammed up for energy and irrigation. It's amazing, right? What's important to note of the 50% of humanity, nearly 2 billion humans directly depend on snowmelt water around the world. Yes. When these glaciers and ice caps are gone within the next few decades due to accelerating global warming, we're going to have a climate refugee crisis, the likes of which we've never seen. We're nowhere close to ready for what's coming. What is so interesting is that we already have the data to tell us we are going to have an easy to access fresh water problem. I repeat, we are going to have an easy to access fresh water problem. And the thing is, the solution is out there. We can start building the solution as we mitigate climate change by appropriately going to green energy. But capitalism won't let them do it because there is no profit in building something as we are going to need it. They want to build it on an emergency basis so they can sock it to you. You have to learn this stuff. I discussed a whole lot of this when we discussed Venezuela on my show earlier today. I think you guys would love listening to what we had to say. ABC News has your follow-up for after the live stream, demonstrating just how fast the glacial meltdown is happening. Oh, thank you. I got to see that one. All right, Eric Hayes says, since Harvey, Harris County has spent $1.6 billion on flood mitigation projects. As of today, Harris County Flood Control District shows $234 million in capital improvement and construction projects underway. Not one is in the Lake Houston area of the 20 active projects. 18 have gone to Democrat Commissioners Garcia and Ellis. The two Republican-leaning districts have one each. Let's talk about that. I mean, it's bare talking about that. Let me tell you a little something. When I moved to Kingwood, Kingwood is a pristine. The streets are drivable. They are fixed. Everything perfect. The trees are trimmed. When Houston took over this city, this township, they screamed. They didn't want to have anything to do with Houston, right? Of course, we're in a county, though. We're in Harris County. Most of Kingwood is in Harris County. Some is in Montgomery County. But they wanted to have nothing to do with Houston. You know, those people in Houston, we are better than those people in Houston in Kingwood. Really? I remember I told my wife one time, because we were driving, this was when we just moved here in 98 or 99. We moved in 97, but it was 98 or 99, right? And we were driving down the street, and there was a pothole. And within a day, the pothole was gone. Now, if you drive into Houston, Studewood, 3rd Ward, 5th Ward, a pothole may last there forever. And why am I bringing that up about potholes, even though it has little to do with floods? There was a time in Houston, everybody, where only certain neighborhoods got care. So the wards and all these different areas where poor white people, minorities, people of color lived, you can actually in Houston see exactly where those areas are by just driving in. You know where it is. It's where the ditches are unkept. It's where the potholes remain. It's where the drainage isn't cleaned. And whenever we have heavy rains, these are the places you see on the television that flood. So here's Eric talking. He sees that $234 million in capital expenditures were made, right? These other areas were neglected for decades. So now they're getting their recompense, right? They've been neglected for decades. The kind of flooding that we have in Kingwood comes about under two conditions. And let me give you the two conditions. One, we have some tropical event, a hurricane or a storm. These other areas that we're talking about, every time there's a heavy thunderstorm, they flood. Recently in Kingwood, they've been getting additional floods from very, very large thunderstorms. But why? Because developers have made a mockery out of how to develop in this area. They have made a mockery out of how to develop in this area. And guess who? These same people want to put into office to control Harris County and the flood control money. They want to put a woman by the name of Alexandra Mealy, who has received $8.3 million from developers, from right-wing groups, from Christian nationalists, and all these other organizations. So what he's talking about flooding, still, you get Mealer in there, Kingwood will be screwed because the developers have already paid her off $8.3 million to make sure they can build wherever they want to build without having to follow regulations. You know, they don't like regulations now. They don't like regulations. They do not like regulations. So just like they didn't do regulations north of Kingwood in an unincorporated area, it's the same thing we could expect again. You see, these people, first of all, their leaders make them, their leaders so take advantage of their right flank. Right-wing leaders, Republican leaders think their people who follows them are dumb. Think about that. Republican leaders think the people who follow Republican politicians are dumb. So they get them, they put all their money into politicians that are going to do their bidding. And in doing their bidding, The average Republican person in any particular area is no more poor or no less poor or more poor than somebody else, a Democrat living in the same area. But they all get screwed together, right? And that is what we try to teach right-wingers when they elect people who cares nothing about them. But they persist. All right, let's continue. E2247 says, let's see, E22, let's go to Eric. What did he say? Let's go to, don't downplay, accept the nuclear protection Australia. Australia plays down the US B-52 bomber plan, condemned by China Defense Minister Richard Marles. Everyone needs to take a deep breath. After China condemned US plans to deploy up to 6 of the long-range bombers in Australia. Okay. I don't see a problem there. Let's see. Eric Hayes says, Bill Green, steady and open your eyes. It is happening. Oh, my God. The SEC mandates it and companies are involved. Oh, my God. Give me a coherent sentence that I can understand, please, my brother. It better wait till you flood, but then you might change your tune. I don't have to wait till I flood. My neighbors flooded. Why? Because, again, developers did some... No, well, actually, the flood from the hurricane is just something to be expected. All right, let's continue here. Let's see what else. Eric, you oppose a mutually assured destruction. Australia has been our ally for the better part of a century. They were there with us until major wars since World War II. Now we're providing them with deterrence in case China gets any bad ideas. That's the foreign policy belief system that's been pushed forward. Personally, I don't think China wants military solution to any of their problems. China isn't Russia. This is prevention for a dilemma that will never happen. I agree with you. Actually, that is exactly what it's done. And if you speak to anybody else, that's what they tell you is being done. Again, thank you. All right, E2247. DOD released U.S. 2022 National Defense Strategy. It was discussed this morning by the Brookings Institute. 2020 DDS outlines how U.S. will face heightened risk from North Korea, Iran, violent extremist organizations, and emerging challenges such as climate chaos. Exactly. Eric Hayes says, Houston government service sucks. Really? Wow. I tell you what, I wish they would charge more taxes so they could fix the roads inside of Houston. But hey, what can I say? You guys don't like taxes. You guys want everything for free. All right, let's see. NDS, NPR, and MDR intersections are serious business not fit for any with attention span of a goldfish. So PDR posse will be able to follow this critical discussion. Boop, boop. You're absolutely right, E2247. Michael Rodnan says, Eric, whenever you see government services suck, you've got to ask yourself, who's preventing those government services from being fully funded? Michael Rodnan, you read my mind. You read my mind. You read my mind. All right, continuing, we got Unpacking the Climate Emergency from E2247. Podcast is about the latest science and on what needs to happen now, according to Jock Strom and who's that? Arkite 365. Thank you. Brit says, Michael Rodden, Eric, whenever you see government services, oh, she double post that. Let's see what else we got here before I go to the first video. Lee Grant says, big storm coming to southeast Texas and parts north soon. Yep, I know. And by the way, we need the water, so a lot of it's going to be absorbed. All right, we got Eric Hayes says Mueller will come and Commissioner Court in different control and is better. Flood money is coming to Kingwood. Well, guess what? Dream on. First of all, she's not going to be elected. We are making sure of that. We are making sure she will not be elected. Mark my words. She will not be elected. We got our posse out yesterday. The posse will be out today, and the posse will be out on Tuesday. You're not going to win a Democratic county, Miss Mueller. We're telling the truth. $8.3 million to buy you. You know what they used to? You are prostituting yourself to the developers. You are prostituting yourself to the developers. Even if you had sense, that would be disqualifying. Even if you had sense, that would have been disqualifying. All right. Michael Rudden says, I like tax and spend policies where the spending is focused specifically on infrastructure investment and social welfare programs. Me too. A government that prioritizes the needs of the people is what I want. And one of the reasons I stand against Republicans is that they keep trying to prevent such spending, as they do spend, but give the monies to the select few. When Kingwood was annexed in the 90s of Houston, left Kingwood out and no maintenance from said city and flood. That's a complete lie. Like I told you before, I moved to Kingwood after it was annexed. And the one thing I noted about Kingwood is that streets got fixed much faster in Kingwood than anywhere else. And that's a fact. I can call, and once I give a Kingwood address, you'll be surprised how fast people get out here. Dems, very worried about turnout. You're absolutely right, Lee Grant. I was very worried until yesterday. All right, Just the Dad, wave to all. Hi, Just the Dad, wave to all. Welcome to see you here, brother. Masticator said, you guys want everything for free. Nope, it's Republicans who get everything for free. And think about it. You want no taxes, but you want the services. That's getting something for free. How, Egberto, you're counting some made up votes. I know you guys, as soon as you lose, you're going to say it was rigged, but we know better now. We know better now. All right. Michael Ronis says, Lee Grant, high turnout tends to favor both Democrats and democracy. Exactly. Eric A says, nope, no lie. You are lying. The ditches were full of freaking silt. My ditches, I live right behind one of the major access ditches to the Lake Houston. In fact, I can walk down my ditch for probably about a quarter mile, and I'm in the lake. This ditch is not a ditch, it's a bayou that goes to the back of my house right into the lake. So, and by the way, during the hurricane, that ditch was filled to the rim, going down, and all my neighbors down ditch were flooded, because that's just the volume of water that was trying to get rid of. That's just the library that was trying to get rid of. All right, and I don't need to go to the library. I live here. Thank you. Bridge MCP says, we are the ones who realize the danger of this election. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. But anyhow, Obama appropriately castigated Blake Masters, who is running against Kelly, right? Mark Kelly, for Senate. This Trump sycophant told Trump, yes, I'll keep doing what you want me to do, Trump. I'll keep saying the election was rigged. The election was rigged. Because Trump told him to say, be like Carrie Lake. Every time they ask you a question, just say the election was rigged. That's all you got to do. When I talk about the corruption that we have on the Republican leadership side, I'm not talking about my Republican friends now. I'm talking about when we talk about the corruption of the Republican leadership. It is so darn bad. But you know what? It is so hard to let folks understand that they've been had. But you know what? I'll tell you something, folks. I have faith, like several are beginning to have the same faith that I have, that no matter what happens, it's going to be all right, no matter what happens. So in that light, let's go to our first video. Let me first get to a good screen first. Let's go to our first video, and then we'll take it on the other side. Great. Obama continues to do what he does best. He acknowledges the threat that the Republican politicians running in Arizona have become, and he names appropriately Blake, what's his name? Blake Masters as the wacky Republican coming after your Social Security. I want you to check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
If you were trying to create in a lab a wacky Republican politician, it'd look a lot like this guy, Mr. Masters. Campaign backed by a tech billionaire who's questioned the value of democracy? Check. Wants to give tax cuts to big corporations that are jacking up prices on consumers? Check. thinks it's a good idea to privatize Social Security and, quote, cut the knot on the benefits that more than 1 million seniors here in Arizona depend on. Check, check, check. I got a little fired up about this the other day in Wisconsin, but it's true here in Arizona too. Folks in Arizona have Social Security not because somebody's given it to them as a payoff, as a gift. They earned it. They worked for it.
All right, Obama hit the nail on the head. Folks, if you don't go out and vote, to stop these crooks from doing what they intend to do, they're already starting to get their lawyers together to dispute when they lose. So we need to win in a landslide. So therefore, folks, remember this. Go out, vote, and get 20 people to come with you and vote. Call your neighbors, your friends, your families, and tell them go vote appropriately, because their Social Security is at risk, their Medicare is at risk, their Medicaid is at risk, their health care is at their risk, their education is at risk. You know why? These guys only care about one thing: continuously moving your wealth to the distinguished, entitled few. You cannot allow that to happen. This is a real election about our democracy, about our health, about our lives. Vote, and if you don't vote, that's at your own peril. That is at your own peril. Okay, I want to go to our new subject right now. Our new subject is about Medicare Advantage once again, because a report finally came out, and what I want to do is I want to put it on the screen. Let's read it together and let's talk about it together. Senate report details latest privatized Medicare scandal as seniors preyed upon and duped. It is unacceptable for this magnitude of fraudsters and scam artists to be running amok in Medicare, said Senator Ron Wyden. But in some of the words that Ron Wyden used, I'm going to explain why Democrats too often lose. Because they want to put their foot in the private sector and then have put their foot in the government sector and somehow think they can play both sides. You cannot. Healthcare does not belong with privatized companies, period, punto final. Let's talk about it. Insurance companies and other brokers are making false or misleading claims to dupe senior citizens into purchasing Medicare Advantage plans, according to a report published Thursday by the U.S. Senate Finance Committee. The report, which comes midway through this year's Medicare enrollment period, described last year by healthcare writer Susan Jaff as open season for scammers, reveals that the number of Medicare beneficiary complaints about dubious private sector marketing tactics more than doubled from 2020 to 2021. They lied to you, in other words. And again, do remember, they don't only lie to you, but they purchase politicians, Democrat and Republican alike. Because right now, if we had standard Medicare with ears, nose, and eyes, nobody would need to go to Medicare Advantage. Okay, but let's continue. Older Americans and those living with a disability count on Medicare to deliver dependable and high-quality health care when they need it most. It is unacceptable for this magnitude of fraudster and scam artists to be running amok in Medicare, Senate Finance Committee Chair Ron Wyden said in a statement. Medicare, this is where Democrats get into trouble, and this is what drives me crazy. He's a good guy, but he had to be bought by the industry to make a statement like this. Medicare Advantage offers valuable plan options and extra benefits to many seniors, but it is critical to stop any antics or actors that harm seniors or undermine their confidence in the program, he added. That's a patently false statement. The semblance of having good care by saying, hey guys, we give you dental, eyes, and ears, but your dental is limited to XYZ, your ears is limited to XYZ, and your eyes are limited to XYZ. There is no good Medicare Advantage plan. Now, the government has made it that some people just about have to get it because it is, you give all your Medicare money to Medicare Advantage and you don't pay a penny out of pocket anymore, but you are limited, restricted, and you're liable to get poor health care. You're getting health care, but they're doing it at a minimal cost so that they can maximize their monies for the plutocracy. Don't forget it. They charge the government more than if the government paid for it with just Medicare, but they charge the government more. So when Wyden said that, I love the article, but it upsets me. There is nothing good about Medicare Advantage. It should be done with. And anybody that hear my voice and then decides to go into Medicare Advantage, good luck. Because they're playing and you are playing with your life. All right, continuing. Medicare Advantage, also known as Medicare Part C, was initially introduced as a private sector alternative to the government-run program designed to provide innovative care alternatives at a lower cost than Medicare. Medicare Advantage plans pay third parties, usually insurance companies, monthly per person fees to manage patient health care. In traditional Medicare, the government pays healthcare providers directly. You can't save money if you're making a profit on top of just paying a bill. Medicare just pays a bill. Medicare Advantage just pays a bill. But it actually pays several bills, Medicare Advantage. It has to pay the bill to the doctor. It has to pay the bill to the shareholders. It has to pay the bill to the corporate executives. It has to pay a bill to the multiple databases, advertising budget that you see. When you see that on TV, when you see all those Medicare Advantage plans day after day after, by the way, Medicare does not have to advertise. All those Medicare that you see are actually not Medicare. They're Medicare Advantage. All those plans you see advertised on TV are not Medicare. They're Medicare Advantage. Egberto, why doesn't Medicare do something about them using the name Medicare? Isn't that some kind of a scam? Yes, it is. But both Republicans and Democrats are paid off by the healthcare industry. That's why, my dear, beautiful Bridge MCP. Around half of all Medicare beneficiaries are now enrolled in Medicare Advantage plans. The new Senate report exposes tactics used by unscrupulous insurance companies, brokers, and other third parties to pressure seniors to purchase plans, including deceptive mail advertisements, misleading claims about increasing Social Security benefits, aggressive in-person marketing tactics, and enrolling beneficiaries without their consent. I think anybody found to be enrolled without their consent or misleadingly should be able to leave that plan, go into standard Medicare, and have Medigap, which if you ever signed up with another company, Medigap gets a lot more expensive, and force Medigap to accept you after being fraudulently pulled out by the private sector. All right, continuing. In August, the Senate Finance Committee collected Medicare Advantage marketing complaints from 14 states and found evidence that beneficiaries are being inundated with aggressive marketing tactics as well as false and misleading information, with examples including seniors shopping at their grocery stores are approached by insurance agents and asked to switch their Medicare to Medicare Advantage. Insurance agents selling new Medicare Advantage plans tell seniors that their doctors are covered by the new plans. Seniors who switch plans find out months later that their doctor is actually out of network and they have to pay out of pockets to visit their doctor. Seniors receive mailers that look like official business from federal agency, yet the mailer is a marketing prompt for a Medicare Advantage plan or its agent or broker. An insurance agent calls seniors 20 times a day, attempting to convince them to switch their Medicare Advantage. Widespread television advertisement with celebrities claim, and those celebrities are crooks. They should be ashamed of themselves. Seniors are missing out on benefits, including higher Social Security payments, in order to prompt seniors to call Medicare Advantage plan agent or a broker hotlines. It's a ripoff, man. Dr. Jessica Sachs, a retired family physician, noted in a recent Charlotte Observer opinion piece that earlier this year, the federal government reported that 13% of denials in Medicare Advantage would not have been refused under traditional Medicare, while Medicare Advantage plans are also increasingly ending nursing home and rehabilitation care before providers consider patients ready to go home. See what I tell you? It'll kill you. It'll kill you. You're not ready to leave your care, but they're going to send you home because they are saving money for their shareholders. Come on, folks. We got to be smarter than that. Sachs continued. So instead of innovative care, Medicare Advantage seemed to mainly withhold it. It has also proven to be costly. Because such plans get higher government payouts for sicker patients, insurers have an incentive to exaggerate the sickness of enrollees. According to the federal audits, 8 of 10 of the largest companies have submitted inflated bills, and 4 of 5 of the very largest have faced federal lawsuits accusing them of fraud. In 2020 alone, these exaggerated risk scores generated $12 billion in excess payments. Because of this and other factors, the government actually spends 4% more for Medicare Advantage enrollees than those in traditional Medicare. Capiche? The private sector once again fails. Come on, people. Surely this program should be called Medicare Disadvantage, Score Sachs asserted. When a middleman makes profits from managing your health care, they inevitably do so by limiting the care you get. Medicare recipients beware, she's added. And as citizens and taxpayers, we should all demand that Congress take Medicare out of the hands of corporations, freeing billions of dollars in savings to deliver actual health care. Hey, Democrats, you know why sometimes you lose? Because you act just like Republicans. Pilfer the people. Pilfer the people. It makes my blood boil. And it should make your blood boil. All right, let me get to you guys right now. Para ver, let's see where we're at now. Michael Renner says, Business Insider, Trump Bank, Wisconsin GOP candidate and 2020 election denier will never lose another election in the state if he's voted into office. Sam Rocker said, democracy is on the ballot in this election. Tim Michaels has made it clear he will do anything in power to make it harder for Wisconsinite to vote, and would even overturn the fair results of our election. Yep. Sounds about right. Sounds about right. Let's see what else we got here. Coming down, let's see. We have Just the Dad says, stand-up comedy Obama is the best. We also have E2247 says, Montana 01 is Monica Train, who is on Twitter, Monica Train, against criminal Ryan Zinke, who makes his campaign rounds on criminal Greg Giarfonte's private jet. Amazing. Montana 02, Penny Roman, who is on Twitter, Penny for Congress, against Matt Rosenthal, who's now defending in his trial for illegal campaign coordination with National Rifle Association. Let's see what Gat Macaronis says. That's an answer. Just the Dad says, we would unite the Democrats Party behind universal health care. Yes, we should. Bridge MCP says, Michael running Eric COVID lab stuff. Gonna go full thin foil. Yep. Sounds about right. Let's see what. Do not let GOP win all 2 Montana 2022 seats. I think surprises could be possible. Carl Cox says GOP is out to destroy democracy, Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare. Only want to help the rich, their puppet masters who can afford to bribe. All right. Gene Daigle, welcome aboard. Another reason why we need to get rid of money out of politics, need the politicians to work on behalf of we the people, not those special industries. Gene, I bow to you. You're absolutely right. Let's see what else we got here. Nanette Bird-Smith says, unfortunately, not to counter your argument, my Medicare Advantage plan has not proven to be a detriment in my area. I was signed up before I had your evaluations. I am not coming against my beautiful people who have Medicare Advantage. I am not. In fact, there are some people Medicare Advantage turn out to be the only option because they don't have that extra $100 or $150 to buy Medigap, ears, teeth, and eye control. Eye support. So that's why Bernie Sanders was working so hard to get Medicare to cover those expenses as well. If you already have it and you're in a fixed area, that's about all you can do. The thing about it is if you go on a vacation or something and an emergency that they determine is not an emergency occur and you pay it out of pocket, they won't cover it and you will be in the hock for it. But we'll talk about that another time, Nanette Bird-Smith. Do not feel at all guilty for taking Medicare Advantage. Just if you don't have it now, don't get it. If you have it now and you are still healthy, I will suggest to you that you investigate going back to standard Medicare so that you can afford Medigap. Because if you get sick, like the article says, Medicare Advantage will try to unload you from whatever care you're getting and allow you to die. That's no joke. All right, Deborah Moyer says, once you have Medicare Advantage, you may not be able to return to traditional Medicare Medigap plans. And I think we need to make an exception for that. We need to talk our politicians into solving that problem. Thank you for bringing that up, my dear Deborah. Jean Daigle said, I wish people had the socialist healthcare I have been retired with. Yep, TRICARE with max $3,500 catastrophic cap and do have separate dental and also eye vision, good plans and low cost. Exactly. Now you got TRICARE because you're military and man, do we owe you. Thank you. Egberto Willis, my brother, is having a hard time because he had Medicare Advantage, and when they went to hospital, surgery, etc., Medicare ever changed. What the hell is that? I tell you, it's all crooked. Egberto, he is trying to change now, and there is that per condition. Yep. That's what I'm telling you, Bridge. You and I discussed that on air at KPFT. Michael Rudney said, I wish we could get single-payer healthcare pass. We must. No more out-of-network expenses. All doctors would be part. Nanette Bird-Smith says, Eric Hayes, thanks for the permission. All right, let's see what else we got here. Gene Daigle says, was Senator Rick Scott and his healthcare company found guilty of Medicare fraud? Yes. Worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I think it was $1 billion. Michael Rodney said, Egberto, Medicare Advantage should not be allowed to be called that name as Medicare is a government program, while Medicare Advantage is not. I agree, but they did that on purpose to confuse people. Carl Cox says, liberals like Schumer and Pelosi are more worried about special interests instead of the bottom 99%. I agree in terms of wealth. Only progressives like Sanders, Warren, and AOC work for the rest of us. I agree. Let's see what else we got. Lee Grant says Zinke was attacked by a left-wing terrorist. Really? Okay. Michael Renner says, what's Lee Grant talking about? I am trying to figure it out too. All right, let's continue. All right, I think I better go ahead and do my next video. I think you guys are going to like this one. Let's go ahead and take it to the other side right now. Michael Moore and me, we share the same optimism about Tuesday. I know what the polls are saying, close election, etc. But then again, you go out to the polls and you see that the monumental amount of people that are voting. Do you really think all these people voting are out there just voting for the sake of we are going to vote to take away our Social Security. We are going to vote to give more tax breaks to corporations. We know that there is a sect of folks in this country who the Republicans have used as pawns by bringing out their most internal carnal fears. They're bringing out their prejudice that is built on fear. We know a lot of that is done psychologically perfectly by Republicans, but there are enough other people that don't fall for that if they will come out to vote. And as Michael Moore is saying, there are a lot more Democrats and progressives in this country than there are Republicans, period, punto final. And he proves that by pointing out the popular votes in this country has not gone to a Republican in over 8 cycles. Well, there was only one time again, and that was Bush during war. So, he has a very important point to make. And what I want you to do is listen to this. Get the optimism that he is presenting. Get the optimism that we're presenting. And go ahead and call folks and tell them, hey, your vote will matter this time around. Go out and vote. Go out and vote on Tuesday. Go out and for places that are still open today, go out and vote today. Because it is, I'm not going to use the word existential because a lot of people don't quite follow it. I'm going to say it is best for your own personal bank account. It is best for the social services that you will need. It is best for your health care. Absent voting correctly, all those issues are pretty much in doubt. Wait a minute. Did I just say they are in doubt? No, they're not in doubt. we know what the results are going to be because they have continuously told you what they intend to do with Social Security. They have told you what they intended to do with the Affordable Care Act. They have told you what they intend to do with charging you more taxes as they give tax breaks to you know whom, the wealthy and corporations, because that's their only modus operandi. So here is Brother Moore. Listen to what he has to say, and we'll be right back.
Michael has laid it out on the beat tonight. He sees a Democratic victory powered by the women's vote. We got into several things. I did promise Michigan, go blue, as they used to say at my alma mater, but they didn't mean it in terms of the red-blue map. What is going on in your state of Michigan, where you have voiced concerns about the economy, populism, things that Republicans have claimed they want to help? They say they're going to get your prices down. They're going to get government off your back. But what's going on in this state, you know well, as the party on the right embraces outright election deniers in Michigan?
Well, yeah, but that's just the Republican Party. I mean, there are so many more Democrats than Republicans in Michigan. And when the Democrats have lost in the past with Michigan, it's because they didn't get the vote out. Hillary lost Michigan in 2016 by an average of 2 votes per precinct. That's it. If only 2 more people had shown up per precinct, Trump wouldn't be president. But that's why, as you went to commercial break, that's the most important thing. The only way the Democrats can lose on Tuesday is we don't show up and we don't bring 5 people with us to the polls and we don't call 10 people this weekend and don't assume that everybody's planning to vote. People have a lot going on in their lives. So that is for Michigan. That's the key thing. Here's a great statistic for Michigan. So another group that's going to show up in very large numbers are young people, young adults. Back in 2014, 15% of 18 to 29-year-olds showed up to vote in Michigan in the off-year election of 14. Just 4 years later, in 2018, that went from 15% of young people showing up to 32.2%. More than double in just 4 years showed up. And that trend has continued. Actually, it's really sort of started in Barack Obama's first election across the whole country. Young people, the white 18 to 29-year-old vote was the only white demographic that Obama won in that first year. I know it's hard to believe, right? So how did he win? Well, he won because about 70% of the eligible voters in this country now are either women, people of color, or 18 to 35. Those are the 3 groups, or a combination of the 3. A young black woman, for instance. So with that in mind, you think of 70% are the base, or the traditional base of the Democratic Party: women, people of color, young people. If we show up, this is ours. In the states where they ask you, are you a Democrat or Republican? When you register, you have to list a party. There are 20 million, and there's about 40-some states, 20 million more register as Democrats over Republicans. In 7 of the last 8 presidential elections, the popular vote has gone to the Democrat running for president. Only once in 34 years, since George I in 88, only once since then has the Republican got the popular vote. The other 7 times, it's been the Democrat. So how can we lose if obviously the people of America through those 8 elections said, you know who I want running the country? I want the Democrat in the White House. And I was just going to say, it's a fascinating data point because it was 7 of 8 more people voted for the Democrat in the White House. And the one exception was 2004, which was a wartime incumbent president against terror. So that's really the one exception that you have. And I've heard you, I remember at the time you pointed out that America has never removed a president at the polls during a war. Never happened.
Right.
And it didn't happen. It almost happened.
As a political science matter, you could understand why that trend occurs, even though there's other reasons why people are worried about who's in charge. Michael, we gave you 2 blocks. That's one more block than most guests get. I'm so honored, and thank you for letting me say this because we've heard the other story so much. Republican surging. No, I appreciate it. Look, and it's like, and there are people. I don't know if you know this. Show up, that's not going to happen. There are people who have followed your work for decades and look to you for exactly the analysis you did tonight. And Michael Moore making some news on the beat, calling it a Democratic race. We'll see Tuesday. There are people who love Grover Norquist.
Yeah.
Not call it, but there are people who love Grover Norquist, and he was on last night, so people can hear all of it and make up their own minds. That's the spirit. You did say a lot, so I hope after Election Day, if you're wrong, you got to come back and deal with it. But if you're right, you got to come back and we'll run the tape. Okay, deal?
How could I be wrong? The only way I could be wrong is if people watching this don't get out to vote and don't bring 10 people with them. Then they'll be wrong because we didn't do our work over this last weekend to get the vote out.
That's what I'm talking about, folks. I mean, it's not an empty wish that Moore is talking about. Here's what Moore is talking about. The election is not over until Tuesday. People have that choice to decide to get up off their butts or not on Tuesday. It is imperative that people actually are informed. Many people have no clue what government has been doing over the last 2 years. Whose fault is that? The mainstream media, and to some extent, the Democratic Party that has not been engaging as it should with not its members, but with America. So this is not wishful thinking. You go out there and you make that call to others and say, hey guys, go vote. You also spread this word, spread this video, spread all these things and let folks know. Go out and vote. Disregard the polls. The polls are the instant in time. Somebody called you up and somebody called a person up and said, hey, are you going to vote? And you say, I don't think I'm going to vote. All right, that's not a likely voter. Click. Then your friend calls that same person and says, hey, John, are you going to vote? Well, I don't know. Look, John, you need to go out there and vote because right now, if you don't vote, you are putting a lot of people to death. You are making sure that a lot of people who would otherwise have insurance don't get it. You are putting grandma's health care on the table. You are putting grandma's Social Security and my Social Security on the table. So please, are you going to go vote, John? Well, now that you put it that way, I think I better go vote. If every progressive and democratic American does that, the polls mean nothing because it's just saying, are you going to vote or not? And if you go and vote, who are you going to vote for? Folks, it's still in your hands. It's in your hands today. For places that are still open on Saturday, it is there for you to make that change. And on Tuesday, November 8th, you can decide whether this country is going backwards or whether this country will continue on a path to progress, to a path to progressive movement where all Americans have equal access to success, happiness, and all that makes life better for all. We spend Politics Done Right depends on you to keep doing what we do. What do? We make sure to keep, number one, the internet seeded with blogs and information to counter the right and to present what progressives represent for the benefit of us all to everybody so that it's not misread, misled by any other entity. We make sure and populate that internet with blogs, with videos, with all these other things to make sure that we are informed and to counter everything that you normally hear that are lying at the right. We also make sure to create articles in magazines, articles in newspapers all around the country to ensure, again, that our message gets out there. Last but not least, we also write books. As you see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom, How to Make America Utopia, are two of the many books that I've written on these issues. So please support us in one of many ways. Numero uno, you can support us at PayPal, either one time or monthly. Go to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. You can support us on Patreon. That is politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Patreon is spelled Patreon. You can support us by becoming a part of our YouTube channel, going to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, or you can support us in many other forms that you can find at politicsdoneright.com/support. Be sure to visit our store, politicsdoneright.com/store and get our books at politicsdoneright.com/books. Hey, folks, absolutely so. So please support us. And don't forget, sign up for our politicsdoneright.com/paid podcast paid. It's actually politicsdoneright.com/podcast paid. Really help us along. Very inexpensive. And we give you everything that we produce on video, audio on that particular channel. So please, please, please support us. You can listen to it and watch it all, both listen and watch on Spotify. We have everything in one place for you. Please consider becoming a supporter by going to politicsdoneright.com/podcast paid. Lee Grant says, I always vote my interest. Let's see what else he says here. Oh, I'm bad. Before I forget. And please read my book. The one that's called Tribulations. It's called, I forgot. Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man. Racism Didn't Stop My Smile, Hope, or Journey Forward. And you can get that at politicsdoneright.com/tribulations. politicsdoneright.com/tribulations. All right. Lee Grant says, I always vote my interest in keeping political power out of the hands of well-meaning, though naive people who reach for socialism blindly and easily. Lee, you're calling out those words. You need to listen to my friend and I on today that we had that talk on KPFT discussing just that. Check it out between myself and John Garcia. We had a good talk about this. I think you will actually like it, Lee. So when I process the video for today KPFT's video, please take a listen to it. Scroll down to the portion where Garcia and I are talking about capitalism and all those kinds of things. And he actually agreed. What got to him was the word socialism. And I didn't use the word socialism. He did. But what he liked the policies that I was talking about, and he agreed. So, brother, I urge you to not just look at those magical words and say, you want to be Cuba? No, none of that. Let's talk about it in an intelligent fashion. You know that's what we do out here. And I want you to, because I know you're on board with me, man. That's why you're here all the time, Lee. Deep down inside, Lee, you are we. Oh, all right. Man, I'm tired. Had a long night and then I had to drive all the way into Houston today. 3 times a week, brother. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Let me scroll up because I'll take some things out of order. Paul Fleming says, have we made the halfway announcement? Thank you, Paul. I just did it. You are a blessing, Paul. Let's see what else we have. Nanette Birdsmith says, check out early for my Uber grandma duty. I love you, Nanette. You're taking care of your granddaughter. That is so sweet. I love to see families, intergenerational, just doing it, Love you, Nanette. That is so good. That is so cool. Mike Cisak says, Hillary Clinton is still an election denier ever since 2000 and especially 2016. And she's not an election denier. She accepted losing the electoral college. I just think it's a farce. And I also think, well, we're not going to go there. Let's see. I love Michael Moore. You take a look at his documentaries. You could learn a lot from it. You should go. You know what you should do, Eric? You should go ahead and download every single one of Michael Moore's documentaries and listen to them and fact check them. Fact check them. Tom C. Is Elon Musk trying to be the worst boss ever? Buys Twitter, fires half the workforce as ad revenue drops and hate speech spikes. Megalomaniac like Trump thinks he's the god of business for free speech. You know what's so funny? All those people that are in businesses like mine, news media or whatever, we get the blue mark, the blue mark, check mark, just because it identifies us as, being recognized, gone through the process of we are really who we say we are, so that when we send tweets out, people know that it's not just tweets coming from some flamer. Okay, so I have a check. If you look at my at Politics Done Right on Facebook or Egberto Willis on Twitter, you'll see that I have my blue check mark. Now he thinks he's going to charge $20 a month for getting a check mark. You can wait on me paying $20 a month for a check mark. It won't happen. I will not do that. So you know, Elon Musk made a mistake when he bought it. Now he's going to try to make some money, and it's not going to work. Mike Cisak actually believed that the Republicans going to have 250 seats and 53 to 54 Senate seats. Wishful thinking. All right. Mike Cisak, we are supposed to be representative democracy. Yes, a republic is a form of democracy, but thanks largely to Republicans screwing with democracy, we are now considered a flawed democracy, oligarchy, plutocracy, or an anocracy. Yep, you're right. Wow, it's time to go already. Let's see. I don't know anyone who isn't going to vote or has already. I tell you, people are voting. Egberto Willis, set your clocks back, not our lives. Boop, boop. I agree, girlfriend. What else have we got here? Oh, wow. Let me see. Still free to use. Just a dad. What else have we got? Masticator. I won't read that. But anyway, I got to get out of here. Folks, it's been a long week. I have a longer week coming out because it seems like I'm going to be pulling double duty at KPFT on Tuesday, which means we're going to be covering the election, and we're going to be covering the election for 2 hours. I'll be covering it for 2 hours, 6 to 8, I believe, on Tuesday at KPFT. And it includes, let's see, Ukrainian and violent civil rights. Thank you, bro. I'll read that later. So it's going to be a long week. Plus, I think I have a dental appointment as well. So let's all love on each other. Let's have a great weekend. And I really mean this. Tom C. Thank you, folks. Tomorrow is Ask Egberto Anything. Let me put the link in here. Oh, I'm supposed to leave, but I'm going to put the link in here. Anyway, Ask Egberto Anything tomorrow at 11 Central, noon Eastern. And I'm going to put that link in there right now. Ask Egberto Anything. Go sign up. Please go sign up for Ask Egberto Anything now. I want to see you guys. Hey, Mike Cisak, you should show up as well. At 11 Central, 12 Eastern, Ask Egberto Anything. It's at politicsdoneright.com/Ask Egberto. Eric, I'll be waiting to see you there as well. Tom, I know is going to be there. I hope Breed shows up. I hope Nanette Birdsmith and all the other of our posse shows up as well. I'd love to have a good, productive one. Pacific time will be 2 hours behind, so it will be 9 Pacific. But go ahead and sign up. Go to the link that I gave you there and sign up. I want all of you here, my lefties, my righties. I love you all. Come on up. I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.